Hi, my friends and family. This video is called Sin Confluencers.
While they're standing in the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know? Talking about a revolution, it sounds like a whisper. And finally the tables are starting to turn. Talking about a revolution. Yes, finally the tables are starting to turn. Talking about a revolution. Oh, no. Talking about a revolution. Oh, no. Talking about a revolution. Oh, no.
Sin Confluencers. Sink on losers. Christ will take it all in the end anyway, so why obey the deceiver and focus on others' weakness? This is a video about so-called online influencers and how they're most often controlled opposition agents are trying to influence you wrongly to be a selfish idiot. For example, in this inverted paradigm of online influencers, one thing is clear. It is a popularity contest that will be waged between all voices online as long as they obey their egos and narcissism, right? So, what is the definition of sin? Well, the word sin, the masters of wordsmiths who inverted the Christ into the modern Christian religion, they stole the word from archery, and archery, a sin is where you miss the mark. So a sin, when you sin, is the opposite of ascend. When you sin, you miss the point. Okay, you're not even anywhere near the point of life. And so this video is also about how online influencers will try to mostly influence you to be distracted by their personality or miss the mark even. And so with the big money boys and the club systems in there trying to line their pockets to be idiots themselves, of course. And influencers will all be heavily scrutinized from the beginning, even at the point I'm at. It will be all about the numbers of views and money made. Between the, six, if you're not going to work for the six media companies that are all friends, then, you know what? You're going to have to be influenced by the big 3 or 4 or 5 companies that influence the online communities, the controllers. My second strike on YouTube, where I was kicked off for a week, I watched Dr. Zelenko and Dr. Drew, and I didn't know the community guidelines very well. I got a little naive and carried away, of course, and actually it was Naomi Wolf gave me the idea on a Dr. Drew video. It was called the Big Boys Tech Disruption Systems, and it was about how they create paywalls to make you pay for things. And by the way, Reddit and Techlore would they both, I couldn't figure out how to quit. They both I gave them an explicit message saying, even using probably too nasty of terms, saying that I wanted to terminate my account, and they both ignored them. Sent me more advertisements. So I was breaking YouTube guidelines because I didn't know I wasn't, well, of course they didn't like that title. It was a rather naive idea, okay? So But Naomi Wolf is, of course, a Juilliard graduate who wrote a feminist who wrote a bunch of fat books. Jewish lady that was on Dr. Drew. So, from Elizabeth April to Corey Good, from even the book The Law of One, as I've said, to make me less popular than ever with the online truther community, spiritualists. To David Wilcox, we can see how they all have holes in their belief structure, where from ego, race, hubris, or narcissism can distort the best of them, when success can eat holes in their supposed credibility. Or we see, or if success or being a popular online influencer doesn't destroy their credibility and Lucifer doesn't get his talons into their subconscious, then they just delete their account. So, on YouTube, for example. So, as we learn to discern the truth from lies and strong sales pitch, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say. Don't throw out the baby, but notice the lies. If you have the discernment, you might have noticed the lies you might have inherited from not only just the mainstream media, matrix beast system, fake ass, like the idea that if it was between Trump and Biden, it would be an election. But the controlled opposition, speaking of which, in this case, Q, Trump to the rescue narratives. That's what Rumble is full of, right? So many otherwise loving and intelligent believe this insanity, that the Q narrative that Trump is going to come rescue them. That Mr. Warp Speed is going to come save them. As any of you that follow my teachings here know, I'm an anti-salvationist. Save yourselves if you want to be real in the spiritual realm of the age of the sacred remembrance of Her Majesty, the second coming of Christ, consciousness, awareness. So learn to discern when you're being fed lies on even Rumble. For example, I'm watching this show. I subscribe to this channel, The Bridge, with Nick and Dylan. It's this kind of Jewish hippie guy in Ashland and this Australian guy who seems to be almost fairly enlightened. I really enjoyed it. They're a really good show. And so Nick brought up the case of Phil Godlewski. Nick Alver versus Phil Godlewski, it said in the description box. So I watched this movie, The Greatest Fraud on Earth. It's on BitChute, and watching a little bit of most of it or half of it. Although I agree that the Q operation needs to be exposed, however, in particular, the idea that five in the eyes of that 15 is 5 in the eyes of the public and the law. I have to say that Nick Avlier on creating this expose on Phil, as the Bible, Yeshua said, and supposedly the Master said in the Bible, whatsoever is, and this is what people told me when I talked about this issue all the time, whatsoever is on a man's heart is on his tongue. Could it be that Nick has secret desires to go back to nature hormonally, as it were, and or does he wish he had the influencer status of this certainly ill man, Phil, who's got the millions of views sometimes. What this movie does not admit is that Q really is he says it's, he doesn't mention, but it's really a well-funded psyop. it has been revealed by certain sources that I've studied that it's funded by Trump's nephew, Jared Kushner. I'm not saying that I know if that's 100% accurate, but does Nick wish he was willing to be more evil or gross sexually and compelling to get the views? Most truther influencers are focused on digging up dirt on some politician or somebody like this, exposing, in this case, somebody that's trying to run this crazy Q operation, exposing obvious evil, and are often heavily funded or get a lot more followers and subscribers from specific behind-the-scenes players and journalists. Like Nick seems to be hypnotized by the number of views, and it's kind of a tragic thing when people get pulled into this kind of thing spiritually. So, for one thing, are you a Jewish person, Nick? To be greed-possessed can also occur in obsession with numbers and money. And while this exposes how bought and sold the world of online influencers are, it exposes also how talented video makers are captivated by Lucifer and focusing on and attracting individuals and attacking individuals for heroism and glory or popularity. In other words, attacking this Nick Godlewski guy to get a lot of followers and popularity. The killer in me is the killer in you. What's a boy supposed to do? Some popular YouTube influencers are good, like After School. I really love the After School channel, and it has millions of followers. I don't hold that against it. But I was watching this one video, I think hosted by this man that calls himself Eternalized, and it was a video about Nick Avocado, and he was a skinny little cute little vegan queer boy, 20-year-old, and some hot looking woman vegan pissed him off, annoyed him so much that he decided that he'd give it up. And he started doing eating contests, old-fashioned eating contests, and now he's like, I don't know, 400 pounds or whatever. He got millions of subscribers, multiple millions of. I can't even watch his stuff because I've healed myself with nutrition, and it's just I feel like I'm feeding the dark side to watch his videos, even to bring him up. But this video is about influencers, so that's where it can lead to, Many people thought, probably thousands of people for sure, thought he was on a 5 or 10 year suicide plan by doing these binge eating contests. But I think he still does it. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't do it as much. I don't know. I don't pay attention to it. So the point being is that people will do anything to be a crazy online influencer who gets lots of views, but that doesn't really mean shit about whether you should watch it or not. It's really quite sad. I mean, but anyway. After School exposed how evil it is being a self-possessed influencer on the video when they exposed him. So, I mean, it's just sad, So, when Tucker and Russell Brand are friends, I've seen them talk about it on there, who can say certain things, but not others. And all of these popular YouTube starseeds and indigo teachers will tell you lies on occasion. You see, they're called gatekeepers for a reason, because they're given the millions or hundreds of thousands of subscribers and views because they play by the rules, they play nice, even though they expose some facets of the break, the crime. Like, all you have to do is think pink rainbows and fairies, and Trump will save you. That's what some of these truthers in the spiritual community say. I mean, basically. That's what they're telling you subconsciously, whether they get paid to say the shit or not. Either way. How most of what you hear has some level of misinformation or disinformation, even if they are not aware of it. And I really enjoyed the Journey to Truth podcast on Rumble. It came out Thursday with this Australian guy, Hamish, and it's called The Circus, the multi-dimensional circus or something like that. So intergalactic circus, and it's about the same topic about how the dark side are influencing all the a lot of these channelers, and I'm really glad they made that video because people need to know that. So we have all had our influences in life or death and our existence, especially online influencers and people who actually are online. Even if you're like me, you're tiny online influencer, whatever. And frankly, I'm okay with the censorship and filtration because it is less scary. It allows me to go slow with building my influence and learning how to talk to people effectively. It is less scary to be shadow banned, so my shadow likes it. Then it is less scary to be shadow banned than unleashed to the public, as Thomas Quinn said he would if he put me on his radio show. But being a narcissistically possessed person, he never did. Even after hundreds of videos, doubtful if he watched. Yet for me, discerning how to speak concisely, for example, and effectively, for sure, is key. Yet I'm still learning that. I mean, I've only been doing this a year and a half. Yet seeing how much control they, being the dark side, still try and actually succeed in having and exerting over who gets the views and the numbers, knowing a little bit about who is paying the bills. For example, I've had this comment scrubbed right off of Rumble, off the JTT on Rumble, because I said, why is it that we get Wi-Fi 110 years after it was invented? I'm still thrilled, on the other hand. I have to maintain my meditation. I do, giving thanks all the time. I'm still thrilled to get a few million words in edgewise, literally, and tell the truth before the whole shit house goes up in flames, as Jim Morrison said. Popular influencers are mostly shills. Duh, I'm just giving you kindergarten and first grade here, folks. People don't have first grade level of awareness sometimes, so here you are. I'll say it one more time. Popular influencers are mostly shills and they suck. Okay? I'd prefer to focus on learn from smaller voices that are less controlled. To repent, these big time influencers must learn to focus on the mark. Or even these guys like Nick Avalier who focus on the flaws and the stupidness of the influencers, expose them, must, instead of sinning or being a confluence or influencing the public, to focus on people's stupidness, focus on the mark of freedom, focus on the mark of creating your own reality how you want it, and not on others' flaws. So muckrakers begin to stink most of the time, of course. Learning from smaller voices that are less controlled and more respectful. You might love a gatekeeper. Like, I love Jimmy Dore. I wouldn't say he's a gatekeeper, but he's of the chosen race, so he's using that to his advantage. He probably suffers from narcissism. He's a Leo, but thousands of people watch him tell the truth explicitly. So I respect him. But you got to understand, like maybe it's just that he's that race, but I mean, he's holding the torch there. He quit smoking weed. They got him to do that. He took the vaccine and quit smoking weed. I mean, you got him to do those things. Masterfully learn from smaller voices that are less controlled. Lucifer masterfully controls the currents in the digital matrix, of course. Yet the real creator speaks to you in thoughts in the opposite way. Okay? As radio station 666, coercion always uses coercion, threats, fears, depression, hysterical, overwhelming hysteria, anxiety, and stress, attempted forced and trauma bonding to perpetual a loose drip or loose pouring out of you. You got to understand the real voice of the Creator is the exact opposite. Talking about others' crimes all the time can add to the loose. Whereas the real voice of the real God, Christ, Sophia, speaks to your heart. As Tracy Chapman was singing and when I played my sign, don't you know? Talking about a revolution sound. It's a whisper.